There's so much good music going on around here.
Let's hear from our studio audience now.
Yes. You're going to want to see that.
That is some groovy intro music.
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list. It's a running tab. Leave us a voicemail at 970-579-0843.
Welcome to Sound On Podcast. Sound On brings you all the Boulder County music news, who's playing where and when. We also bring you exclusive artist interviews, jam sessions, album releases, and more. If you're an artist or venue and would like to have your show featured, email us info@soundonpodcast.com. Hello, Mr. Tim. Good afternoon.
Mr. Dave, how's the living?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing real well. Awesome. We've got Miss Jessica Carson from Clandestine Amigo with us here in the studio today.
Oh, and it's going to be great.
It's going to be so good. Excited to hear about what's happening with the band.
I think we're going to get some newer songs, too.
Ooh, I'm excited for those.
Yeah.
They're going to be so good.
It's going to be fantastic. Should we jump into the music calendar?
Let's get into it.
Today, Wednesday, February 27th at 300 Suns, it's the Drop-In Acoustic Jam with Tim Ostick. At the Old Mine in Erie, Andy Eppler is at 6 p.m. At Rayback Collective, Hop Pickers is at 6 p.m. At VisionQuest Brewing, Starwater, Wednesday open mic featuring Lady Love at 7:30. And at the Laughing Goat is Mr. Booker.
On to Thursday, February 28th at Dairy Arts Center in Boulder. We've got Beatlemania at 5:30. Over at the Tasty Weasel, we've got the Dear Landlords at 6 p.m. The 3-Chair Jam with Andy Eppler is happening at Longmont Public House at 6 p.m. David Ryle will be live at St. Vrain Cidery at 6 p.m. Colin Robinson and friends will be playing the Jamestown Merc at 8 p.m. And at Globe Hall, Denver, we've got Leslie Tom Band with Famous Men, Mini Mountains, and the Wyatts. That's a hot lineup at 8 p.m.
On to Friday the 1st at Roosevelt Park. The Celtic Content Concert is $2 for residents and $3 for non-residents at 1 p.m. At Sancho's in Boulder, the Mad Dog Blues Band is at 5:30 p.m. At 5030 Loveland, Mountain Reverb featuring Tony Crank and Carrie Hager at 7 p.m. At Georgia Boys Barbecue, Clandestine Amigo solo at 7 p.m. And at the Caribou Room in Nederland, Roosevelt Collier featuring Jeremy Garrett from the infamous String Dusters with 60 Minutemen. Doors at 7:30 p.m., show at 9 p.m., and it is a ticketed event.
Yeah, on to Saturday, March 2nd. At the Muse in Lafayette, we've got Illuminated Consciousness Workshop. Live music and visual display will be happening from 2 to 4 p.m. Over at the Tasty Weasel, we've got Coop and the Chicken Pluckers at 4:30. Over at Periodic Brewing in North Glen, we've got Clandestine Amigo Trio at 6 p.m. At Bootstrap Brewing Company in Longmont, we've got The Strange Parade at 6 p.m. We've got Foxfeather and Julian Peterson playing the Coal Creek Canyon Improvement Association. It's a little concert series in Coal Creek, and it's going to be amazing at 7 p.m. At the Experience Building / La Vita Bella, we've got Alfonso Marshall and Darby bring you Judgment Day CD release party at 7 p.m. At City Star Brewing in Berthoud, we've got Women in Song at City Star at 7 p.m. At the Roost, we've got Sean Cunane solo at 8:30, and Giacomo brings the Mardi Gras to Oscar Blues Homemade Liquids and Solids at 8:30 p.m.
Woo, Tim bringing up that whole Saturday list.
Whoa.
Take a breath, my friend.
Oh, that was rough.
At the Little Bear Saloon in Evergreen, Mountain Reverb is at 12 p.m. on Sunday the 3rd. At the Tasty Weasel, Court Macumber is at 3 p.m. At Left Hand Brewing Company, Pamela Makala Band is at 4 p.m. Foxfeather's playing at the Gold Hill Store and Pub at 5 p.m. And Longmont Tonight with Mr. Andy Eppler is at 7 p.m.
On to Monday, March 4th at the Oriental Theater in Denver. We've got the Colorado Solo Artist Awards and Minifest at 6 p.m. We've got our friends Fox Weather hosting the open mic at License Number 1 in Boulder at 7:30, and open mic with Mr. Denny Driscoll and friends at Bootstrap Brewing in Wyatts at 6 p.m. The open mic with Danny Schaefer at Oscar Blues Homemades, Liquids, and Solids at 7 p.m.
Moving on to Tuesday, March 5th. Happy birthday to our cameraman and amazing calendar writer, Sean Benight.
Happy birthday, Sean!
His 25th birthday on Tuesday.
25.
And the Boulder Bach Festival is at the Nomad Playhouse in Boulder at 2:30 that afternoon on Tuesday. So, if you happen to be not doing anything on a Tuesday afternoon.
My gosh, that might just be me.
And Gross and Bart Brewery, our open mic night with Mr. Andy Eppler at 6 p.m. So it's going to be a great week of music.
It always is around here, but
That's right.
especially this week. We are here today with Miss Jessica Carson.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure.
Man, how has your life been?
My life has been busy and good and full of stuff and full of love and all the things.
Beautiful. Well, we're so excited to have you here today. Jessica, you probably know from Clandestine Amigo. And you guys are just returning from a bit of a hiatus now, right?
That's true. One of the rules that I made for myself when we first started playing shows, and at the end of the show, people would come up to us and be like, "Oh my God, I loved it. You guys need to play more." And like the band members would say the same thing, like, "God, that was so much fun. We need to do this all the time." I was like, as soon as you stop saying that, I know we're doing it too much. So I like to let it breathe. The 5-piece only comes out once, maybe every 2 or 3 months. Mm-hmm. And it's not always in Longmont. So we played a show earlier this month, but it was in Denver. And then our next 5-piece show is in March 23rd at Oscar Blues. But yeah, we took a little hiatus in January to work on some new songs that will be debuting in March. But, we're still doing like some trio, duo. I've got some solo shows, that kind of thing. So, keep it mixed up.
So March 15th at Oscar Blues here in Longmont.
March 23rd.
March 23rd.
Is the Oscar Blues 5-piece.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's the night that you're debuting the new song.
That is the new song night.
Ooh, how many do you have?
1, 2. We've got 4 new ones worked up with the full band.
Okay.
But we have 2 more than that worked up with the trio.
Awesome.
And 3 more than that worked up just myself.
Nice. What can we expect from the new songs?
They all have, 2 of them have similar themes, but they're from pretty different perspectives. So one theme that I get kind of stuck on in life is the concept of loss and how powerful that is, and how it's a thing that when it happens, it never seems to really go away. Like it just kind of echoes through your life. Maybe you won't think about it for a week or a month, but then you do think about it again. And if you decide, you could feel it just as intensely as when it just happened. And that bothers me. So, usually when I write songs, I don't write them because I feel like I should, or I need to make new stuff for the band, or people are going to lose interest. I just don't really care about that anymore, because it's not how I pay my rent and make my money. I only write songs when I have something that I need to process, mentally or emotionally. And then usually I'll sit down, and if I can make how I feel, if I can make the music that feels like that, then usually lyrics just start coming with it. Otherwise, I find it hard to verbalize that stuff.
Yeah. And what is it like when when those songs become things out in the world and you record them and play them live? Is it like feeling that all over again?
It is. Yeah. I actually kind of describe it as like when I have this concept or this thing that I need to process, it's actually like, it's like pulling taffy out of my throat. Like sometimes it's really hard to write about it. And sometimes I'll like sit there and cry at my keyboard because it's so bothersome and it's intense. And, that's how I kind of get it out. But I describe it as like, I put this feeling out and I put it in a capsule, and that's the song. And once I've put it in that capsule, I feel like I don't hold on to it inside and I don't experience it over and over. It's like I can stop ruminating about it because it's in this little thing. And then, when I play it out, it's like breaking the capsule open.
So you said something about choosing to feel that loss and how, it is that choice. So through writing the songs, is that feeling the loss and then letting it go into the song?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's
awesome.
Like, I know this is happening. I know this is the truth of life. I can put it in this capsule. And when I do break it open, it seems like it's lost some of its potency. You know what I mean? And like, it'll resonate with some people and they'll feel that feeling that I just opened up, but then I can close it back up and put it away.
What's the general feeling of the band like after you get off stage playing a night of songs that are written like this?
It's pretty different every time, actually. It really depends on the mood of the band, I mean, when you're dealing with a group of people, any number of things can influence their feelings,
Yeah.
But I do know that sometimes I'll play a song and look over at Mike Wooten and he'll be like, "Don't make me cry on stage." But I think the particular band members that I get to work with, the Amigos, they're all very empathetic people. And so sometimes, really at rehearsal is when it happens. We'll finish a song and it'll just be quiet and we'll just kind of like look at each other and be like, yeah. So they're deeply feeling people that I think don't mind going there with me. They'll take the ride.
That's awesome. You can totally feel that from the stage every time you see Clandestine Amigo, because all of you are so
very
into
it. And I never get to see Giselle because she stands behind me, but every time I see a video and I see her dancing, I'm just like, I wish I could see that, but it's probably better that I don't because I'd just be distracted, So
Yeah, we've had Kyle and Michael on the show already. And
right.
To what Tim was saying, they were so kind to be open books when they came in and sat down with us and were just so freely available for us to ask questions to. And I think the personality behind the people that you choose to work with in a band setting is a huge part of what the final sound of the band is.
Yeah, I tend to think that's more important than skill because people can learn as we go, We can coach each other and make each other better. But I think we all need to get along first and foremost, which everybody does. Yeah. So it's good. It's
and
nice.
Speaking of that crew, how did this band come together?
Really one by one. I had a bunch of these songs. It would have been a little over 2 years ago. I decided I have all these songs and I want to play them. I mean, I was in the Prairie Scholars. We all know this.
Yeah.
And those songs just didn't really fit in that group, stylistically. That just wasn't the thing. And so I decided, well, I have basically all this art that I never get to show. That's how it felt. And so I decided to do it. And I just decided to do it on my own. And I was really nervous about it because I didn't play a lot of solo shows and I felt pretty shy about it. And so I had booked myself a show on my birthday. And I had known Michael Wooten from open mics only. We'd never really hung out and played with him and knew he was good, but I didn't know anything about him, really. And so he found out I had a show on my birthday, and he says, "Hey, do you want some company?" I was like, "Yeah, why not? What's the worst that could happen, right? Yeah. So we didn't rehearse or anything. And he shows up, and we play it, and it blew my mind. And I was just like, how did you do that? It's like we've been playing together for 5 years or something. It felt so tight, and you just picked up on everything. And he got real shy, and he's like, "Before you were a twinkle in your daddy's eye, I was touring with Carole King. And so I think I just really resonate with music. I was just born to play this kind of music. And that just blew my mind. And really, if Mike Wooten hadn't come along, I don't think the band would exist at all. Because he gave me the encouragement and the confidence to say, these songs are worth playing. Somebody likes them, you know, and he would follow up and be like, when are we going to book another show? Are you going to book us another show? So I did, and we started playing duo. And then Kyle actually lived in Denver at the time. I was booking for Samples World Bistro on Main Street, and he had submitted a request to play there. And so I checked out his website, and I was impressed. And so I booked him, and I told him, hey, you know, a good way to get people to these shows in Longmont is to come to the open mic at Sky, because people that like to go to music come to this. And I had told that to so many people, and he was the first one that showed up.
Wow.
And we hit it off. And next time he came into town, he sent me a Facebook message, and we hung out. And I had like a big garden, and I brought him a spaghetti squash because I had like 12 of them. And now we called it the friendship squash, you know. And he kept kind of coming and hanging out, and wasn't that happy in Denver. And I kind of wasn't like overly pushy about him moving here, but I definitely heavily encouraged him to move here. And so he did, and said, you know, if you ever want to get together and jam. So I said, sure, and gave him some songs. And I knew the moment that it was like, yes, this is it. Because we were practicing in the garage, and I gave him a song that had 2 modulations. And I had given this song to other people, and they're like, fuck that, you know. And I gave it to Kyle, and I was kind of shy. And I was like, I don't know if you're going to like this one. It's got a double modulation. And he goes, fuck yeah. I was like, you're in.
That's when you know.
In. Yeah. So we got together a few times. Woot and I can't remember if we got together at all. But as the trio, we got together one time, and then we played our first show. And it was magical. Like, it just felt like we went together. So we did that for a while. And then, yeah, Jeff was the next one. So I knew Jeff from Jackson Cloud, you know. And he just kind of was like, you know, if you ever want a bass player. So I gave him all the charts and the songs, and he learned them, which impressed me because they're not super easy songs. We got together a couple times. And then Giselle, kind of the same deal. We were friends. We went on a lot of walks, and she's done music professionally off and on for a long time. And she's kind of in an off period, and was like, well, I've been thinking about wanting to just sing. Like, I don't want to play guitar. I just want to sing, but I don't want to front a band. I was like, I've had such a girl crush on you for so long. And like, I remember going to her shows when she was with Idlewild and just thinking, what an amazing singer, great songs, wonderful presence. And so for her to show any kind of interest in singing with me was such a huge compliment. So kind of the same deal. I gave her the songs. I was like, when you want to show up, show up. So we got together maybe twice, and I had a show just with Jeff and Woot. And I was like, I'll bring an extra mic, and if you decide you want to sing, it'll be there. And she came, and she's never stopped coming. So it was pretty organic. I didn't recruit anybody, really. It just kind of made itself in a weird way. That was a super long story, but
That's what we're
the
here
story
to
of the Amigos.
We're here to hear that from you.
Okay,
though.
Exactly,
good,
right.
good, perfect.
So you guys have a trio show March 15th at the Dickens?
We do. Yeah, that's one that I'm super excited about. I got contacted by Tyler Grant last week, and he said, like, hey, I got really inspired by the Winter Walkabout to play at the Dickens again, because I saw Bonnie and those guys play there, and he's like, do you want to open? I heard that you organized it. And I was like, hell yeah, I want to open. Like, that guy's a badass. He won like national flat picker or something. He's a really crazy good guitar player. So it'll be myself and Michael Wooten and Giselle. Just doing an opening slot, nothing too crazy, but mostly I'm just excited to be part of the show because they're a pretty badass band. I don't know if you've looked them up at all, but You should. You should look them up.
I will.
They're
Yeah.
on the list.
Yeah,
March
that's right.
15th at the Dickens.
We have a running joke of the list, of bands we need
Yeah.
to see. So add one to the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You want to play us a tune?
Sure. I can do that. I'll play you one of my newest ones because those are the most fun. You know how it is. When it's
yes.
new, it's still
Yep.
like exciting.
It's all sparkly.
Yeah. So this one, I actually just got together with Kyle and Woot last night, and we did it for the first time. And Woot got excited because he's doing like a Cajun samba thing on this one,
Yeah.
which is different than all the other songs. So, this one, I think I named it Eyes. We just named it last night because we weren't sure. So, all right. Must have meant to be here, 'cause here I am. Not sure if I wondered or if I had a plan. I find it hard to be anything at all. You see each time I fall. And I can't stand the eyes that I'm feeling. It feels so revealing. Lend me a hand or leave me alone. I like to drown here on my own. Need to get to know you, 'cause I already do. Fragments of your memory, will it keep shining through? I hoped that I would see a semblance of change. But from where I'm looking on, I can see you're just the same. And I know that you love the eyes that you're feeling, and you're still believing that they'll lend you a hand, but everyone's gone, left you to drown there on your own.
Nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's a newly written one?
It's newly written. Yes, finished maybe a month ago. So, yeah.
That's great. I love how your songs always feel so like emotionally complex, Like, I feel like it's really easy to listen to a song and be like, that's a happy song, that's a sad song, that's, something like that.
Yeah.
You can like live in your songs. You're like, oh, I feel many things.
Right on.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And a lot of that to me is like a lot of the texture that you use on the keyboard. Does that come to you at the beginning, the end? I always ask everybody about their songwriting process because I find it so fascinating. How does that work for you?
Almost always, I want to say 85-90% of the time, it starts with the music. So this particular song, somebody asked me to collaborate with them. And I was like, great, yeah. And they were like, just come up with a riff. I was like, okay. So I came up just with the verse part, and I brought it to them and we jammed on it a while. And they were like, it kind of sounds like the other stuff you've written. I was like, what'd you expect it to sound like? I'm me, And so they didn't seem interested. And I was like, well, that's cool. But I had a lot of fun with it. And so I just kind of it was addicting to play. Mm-hmm. And so I kept playing with it. And then as it happened, I was processing some thoughts and life stuff and just kind of started putting it in there because that's what I was playing at the time. And that song probably took me a total of 3 months to write, but the music was done and grooving before any of the lyrics came out. And it's weird. I'll get a feeling of closure when a song is finally done. Like, it's hard to even describe it, but it's like whenever I finally sing a line that makes me kind of either cringe or almost back off from it because it's too much, that's when I go, yep, that's the line. That's what I really wanted to say.
Yeah, I've heard it said that the artist knows when his painting is done by when he goes one stroke too many.
Yeah.
And that's totally that same thing, same concept.
Yeah. But it seems like those lines, when I hit on them, and it makes me want to back off because the feeling of it is almost scary.
Right.
It's
sure.
too much.
Sure.
Those are the moments that when I play that song live, whether it be just myself or with the band, those are the moments that you can actually hear an audible reaction from the audience because they felt what I felt, where I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
So that's when I know to leave it in.
But it's also providing the context around it to lead up to that moment too.
Totally.
Which is
That's
also
important.
super important. Yeah.
Yeah.
How often do you see that happen in your music when you're out playing?
There have been 2 or 3 songs. Yeah, 3 songs that I can remember playing them either, for the first time or repetitively. That whenever usually it's the vocals, when the vocals hit the part, it's like the climax of the song. The audience gives me an audible reaction, gives me a response that I can hear. That's happened for Unsatisfied. The first time we played that at a Grossenbart, I'll never forget. When we get to the bridge, there's this big peak where it's like, unsatisfied, and all 3 vocals come together and hit that. And the whole audience was just like, ugh. I think you were actually at that show.
Yeah, it was.
And then when we play The Reasons Why, when we hit the peak in that chorus, there have been multiple shows that we've played that. Actually in Denver, I felt really proud of that show because that's an audience that didn't know us. So it's not just my friends being nice.
Right.
But the crowd actually gave me an audible response, a mass response together that let me know that part of the song made them feel something. And then we do a song called Clear Eyes that we've heard people actually make enough noise that we could know that it moved them,
I remember feeling one of those moments when you guys played at the barn.
Oh, yeah.
Flying the Clouds. I can't remember the song where it goes, whoa, whoa. And everybody just lost it after that moment.
Oh, yeah, that's The Reasons Why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
And Bonnie and Taylor actually came up and sang that part with us,
That's right.
which I think made it even more special.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember when I wrote that, I actually wrote that piece of it at Craig Cornett's house on his piano. And it was that moment where, like, when I sang it in that way, it made me feel something. And I thought, like, okay, that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. And it's just nice to have that confirmation that resonates with other people, that piece of it, you know. So, yeah, I love to write songs.
That's huge. And it seems like you were mentioning being in this phase, like, the way you're releasing music and writing, it's all, like, following what you believe in.
Yeah.
Like, just doing what you want. Is that making it easier to, like, find those really true and powerful songs?
It is. You know, I would say that in a lot of my life, that instinctual piece of myself that everybody has, it's kind of like, for me, it's kind of in my solar plexus. And it tells me the truth. Like, it tells me what wants to happen in life or what doesn't by how it feels. And probably only in the last 2 years have I listened to it. For so long, I suppressed it because I was afraid of it. I was afraid of what it was telling me. Yeah. You know, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do other things. But it seems like when I finally took the cap off of that and decided I'm going to follow my intuition, which, you know, follow your gut. Everybody has it. Everybody knows it. But I think that has made a huge difference, not only in my songwriting, but just my life in general. Kind of has given me clarity on what moves to make in life, how to move in life, what to do. But yeah, I think with music, I did it full time with the Prairie Scholars for 5 years, and that was a 10-year project, and it was great. You know, I loved it. But when that came to an end, whatever that intuitive piece of myself is, it just told me, like, this is not what you're going to do for a living. Like, you're going to do it not for money, but just for the love of it. I mean, I still get paid to do it, yes, but that's not why I do it.
Right.
I would do it either way, you know.
Yeah, and that kind of ties into the way you're releasing music now, just on Patreon.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which I know we were talking about that earlier. It's a little counterintuitive because if you're a musician, you're trying to quote unquote make it, you need to be as many places as possible. You need to be visible. People need to be able to hear your music. But to me, that's not my goal anymore. My goal is to write the songs that are true for my life and to share those with the people that want to hear them and opt in, basically. So the thinking behind the Patreon, lots of people have done Kickstarters to fund albums. That was intimidating to me. That seems like, you know, that's really putting yourself out there in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There's a lot on the line.
Yeah.
And to me, I just wasn't willing to do that. I'm not a risk taker most times. Like, I don't like to ski fast. I don't like to get on roller coasters. You know what I mean? I don't like that rush of adrenaline usually, which is weird because you get it when you go on stage. I've really had to get used to it. That's probably the only time that I, on purpose, stimulate that rush of adrenaline. Otherwise, I try and avoid it at all costs. But Patreon, I guess you could call it crowdfunding. But really, when I started putting out songs that were deeply personal and that I knew, if you know me at all, you're going to know what this is about, probably. It felt very vulnerable, very revealing. And I thought, you know, I'm not willing to just share that for free. Like, if you want to read my journal, you can pay $5 a month. You know what I mean?
Capitalism at its finest.
Perfect.
But that's kind of how it started. It was like, these aren't for everybody. These are for close friends that either want to support it and they want to help, you know, fund studio time because it's expensive. or it's just people that are really interested in hearing my life experience, because that's basically what I'm writing about. And it's been interesting. I've got about 20 people that, subscribe to the page, and that doesn't seem like a lot, but it's weird. I've put my music on iTunes and Spotify, and I get more funding in a month from Patreon than I've gotten in 10 years from iTunes or Spotify. So you tell me which one's more beneficial.
Right.
But because of that funding, we're halfway through our first studio song, which is going to be Unsatisfied. That'll be our first release. I'm glad you guys are excited about that.
Yeah.
It seems to be a lot of people's favorite, and this batch of songs, I feel like that song was like the turning point of my songwriting. That was one that was deeply true and detrimental to put out. Like it has touched a lot of people and turned some people off. So it seems like
I also think that it no matter the context, like if someone were to know what is going on your personal life, it forces you a little bit to examine what's going on in your life, and be like, you're at least thinking about the concept of being unsatisfied when you're listening to the song.
Yeah.
And so
I think that's the human condition.
definitely.
It doesn't matter how much stuff you have, how well your life is going, who loves you, what your job is like. You're going to want something else.
Right.
You'll be happy for a minute, and then you're unsatisfied again. That's weird.
Yeah.
Why is
So
everybody
strange.
like that? Everybody is like that. Yeah. I mean, we can practice gratitude, but that's exactly what it is. It's a practice. You have to decide to be grateful.
Yeah.
That seems odd. So, yeah, I think that's just kind of a universal concept for people.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that'll be the first one.
Nice.
So I'm excited to put it out.
Very cool.
How are excited to hear it.
I'm kind of, part of me wants to see if someone will try and bootleg it. Like, rip it off the internet and
Steal
share it
from
around.
Patreon and
That
put
would
it
be
on
like the highest
Spotify.
compliment, Yeah, that would be the best thing.
It's great that that's how that's looked at now. Because
Right.
the early 2000s, it was such a sin.
Yeah.
Now artists
You remember
are
Napster?
Like, oh yeah, that's
The
like
original
what got
sin?
me on computers for the first time.
Yeah.
The original sin. That's fantastic. Awesome.
Yeah.
So we talked about the March 15th show, March 23rd, Oscar Blues. Let's talk about the Winter Walkabout a little bit.
Yes, I love talking about the Winter Walkabout. I'm still buzzing from it, man.
Yeah, we talked about it quite a bit here on the show. And what are your feelings on it? That's what I'm interested to know.
I have so many feelings, I'd probably have to write a song about it.
All right, ready, go.
So I'll tell you this. So a year ago, in January, I was living with Craig and Sue Cornett, smoking way too much weed, being super sad in their basement. And I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was at a turning point. I didn't have a job. It looked like the Prairie Scholars was going to end. So much stuff was just in turmoil. And they'd go to work, and I would just be in their house with their cat alone, smoking Craig's weed. He told me I could. I'm not sorry. So I wrote a lot of songs, and I also started a Word document of ideas to grow the music scene in Longmont. And that was an idea that I wrote in that document. And I put it away. I got a job at the Chamber of Commerce, which I love. And at that job, I met a guy named Colin he's the marketing specialist, but also he plans all their events. So I don't know why they call him that. But he works at the LDDA, which is the Downtown Development Authority. We became fast friends. He's a great guy. He and his wife, Marianne, are wonderful people. And, we'd have office functions, and we'd end up chatting and talking. I think there should be a music festival like Folk MX kind of style. And he's like, yeah, I've been talking about that with somebody else too. And like a few other people I've talked to had the same idea, it's just that nobody executed it until now. So we met probably in August, or I mean, it was hot outside when we met and talked about it for the first time. And I was like, okay, I'll book the music and you get the venues on board and hear all the ideas. And so the ideas got tweaked. You know, it's not exactly the original edition, right?
Sure.
But months later, it was probably in December. Yeah, it was definitely December. I was still kind of like, so are we going to do this thing? Like we were talking about doing it in February. Are we going to do it? He's like, yeah, we're going to do it. And then probably the second or third week of December, he finally had all the venues set. I was like, oh shit, you know, that's 6 weeks away. Okay.
Whoa.
All right. So I went home on a Friday night and just like a joint and a half in, made a schedule of 33 shows in a 7-hour span at 12 venues and gave it to him. And he was like, yeah, book it. And so in a weekend, I booked all the music. You guys were part of it. You know how quick the turnaround was. Yeah. Basically, I relied on all my friends to do sound. We didn't compensate nearly enough for sound engineering. I want to do better next year. But I felt good about the execution of it. You know, all the musicians got a decent base pay. You know, I feel like music goers were super excited. I think we struck a nerve, you know.
It's sold out.
It sold out,
So
yeah.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, you know, that was tricky because I was like, well, how many tickets are we going to do? 550 tickets. Okay. And then looking at the schedule is like, well, if we sell 550 tickets, that means I need to know the capacity of all these venues and I need to know how they overlap and how many shows are going on at the same time. So it was a lot of math that you wouldn't expect a music festival would have.
Yeah.
But that
Better-
came together.
Better you than I.
That's why I needed the joints.
Right. We'd still be planning it if I had to do the math.
But yeah, you know, we got some killer headliners. We had Bonnie and the Clydes and Banshee Tree at the headliner venue. We had a different genre at all the venues, which I thought was kind of a cool way to do it. Of course, I thought that. That's a stupid thing to say.
It was, though.
Patting myself
It was
on the
a
back.
cool way to do it.
Thank you. Yeah, so I did the music schedule and the volunteer coordination, like wrote their roles and that kind of thing. And then Colin was amazing to work with, pulled so much weight on that thing. He did the promotion, was the venue liaison, also did a lot with the volunteers. And ticket sales, he headed up all the ticket sales. I didn't have to do any of that. We both found sponsors. And yeah, man, it was insane. Like I insisted that we take attendance, like keep attendance in all the venues. And I'm almost afraid to say it just because I know that if the fire marshal found out, like they would shut it down. But I do know that Rosalie's had their best day of business in history that day.
Wow.
And those guys are always busy. So that was huge. Just at St. Stephen's Church, the well, the one on the corner that was a singer-songwriter venue, we had 98 people at Kate Farmer's show. And that's like a sit down, listen, shut the fuck up.
Right.
You're just tuned into the singer-songwriter, which doesn't happen that often in Longmont. But some of the venues, like Bootstrap for Jackson Cloud, during a 1-hour span, they had 360 people in and out of that one place. The Dickens, like an hour into the headliner show, the guys at the door texted me and they're like, we're almost at capacity already. We're an hour in. This is a 3-hour show. What do we do? So we were just like, 1 in, 1 out, you know. But it felt really good. And some of the ideas behind it. So people wanted to know, why'd you do it in February? So a few reasons. One, all the musicians that I would want have nothing to do because they're not on tour.
Yeah.
It's the middle of winter. And I was right. Out of 35 people that I asked, 33 of them were available.
Oh, wow.
And that was like my wish list, my original wish list of people I wanted. And then the second thing is people have cabin fever. There's nothing to do in February. You know, you've been in your house for months, and it's the slowest time of the year for businesses. So it seemed like there are so many events during the summer. There's plenty of stuff to do. Let's do it in a time that nothing's happening. So it worked really well. We got lucky with the weather too.
It was amazing. The whole day just felt kind of magical all around.
Yeah.
And it's really cool, like, being in this scene and community for, like, you know, like 5 or 6 years I've been here. And everybody the whole time it's been like, there's something special happening here.
Yes.
It's going to blow up. Something, you know, it's amazing and we all know it. But that felt like the first time there was like a big kind of tangible, like, oh, everybody came out. Like, it's legit.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Actually, somebody was joking with me. They're like, you know, this looks like the beginning of South by Southwest. In 10 years, the people that live in Old Town are going to hate this festival because everyone's going to park in front of their house.
Hell yeah.
Yes. I know I've made it.
That's the goal to strive for.
People are pissed about parking. Yeah. But yeah, it was fun. And the after party, I feel like, was the highlight for me because I was mostly running around all day, making sure volunteers showed up, making sure the venues had what they needed, just checking in, making sure things were on schedule. And then the after party, I actually got to play a little bit with people because we did an open jam and had food and drinks. And we were supposed to cut it off at 10:30, but we went to about 11:15. And I feel like we probably could have gone until 2 or 3 in the morning because there was that much energy in the room.
I was ready to.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Next year, because we're going to make it an annual thing. It went so well. We are going to do it again. And next year, I want to find a place that the after party can go till 2 in the morning.
That sounds right.
That's great.
I don't know if I might just collapse because I was so tired. I haven't walked that much in months, but it was like a 14-hour day of walking and thinking. But I don't know, man. There's something about when you start playing music, you get your fifth wind or whatever it is.
Yeah. Man, we were pumped for next year's.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for being at the local originals venue.
Thanks
that
so
was
much
such a badass venue.
for inviting us. It was so fun. It was so cool, like right at the beginning too. Like almost like right as we were being introduced. It was like, you know, about normal. And then all of a sudden, like a song or two in, it was just totally we're like,
completely
what
packed.
happened here?
That's
Yeah,
It was amazing.
the festival started.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
or Georgia Boys ended or something happened.
like that.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I had to have you at 300 Suns because it's like that's like your residency place.
Yeah, exactly.
place, yeah.
We're like the
That's
house
yours.
band.
That's pretty much it, yeah. We played their
Yeah.
anniversary party just last Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just the spot.
Yeah, man.
The real treat for me was getting to see Lucky Me play after we played. They killed it. Fantastic.
Yeah, I was so happy to put them in the mix.
They played one of your songs.
They did. They
That
played
was
on
so
Satisfied,
cool.
actually. Craig Skinner, the kind of frontman that sings for that band, he asked me if he could rewrite it. And I was like, dude, do whatever you want to that. And
Nice.
That's everybody's song now. So he wrote verses for it, like his own verses, I guess what makes him feel unsatisfied. And he kept the chorus and the bridge the same. And it's kind of funny. Like Rob, the bass player, really liked it. And other people have really liked it. And Mike Wooten's on the fence. He doesn't know it.
About Lucky Me's version?
Yeah, I think because he's so used to like the original version, he's like, I don't know about it. Like he feels weird about it. Sorry, Mike, I outed you if you're
We're
listening.
breaking news here.
Man, I love
Yeah.
the thought of Michael Wooten not like...
Well, I know him well enough. I could tell like his face when he was starting it. He seemed really hesitant. Like I don't know about this, but I liked it. I thought it was really cool and very flattering that someone would connect with that song enough to make their own verses to it.
Right.
Who does
Amazing.
that?
Right.
That's so cool.
Yeah, like that's a step further than the flattery of just like covering a song.
Oh
You
man.
actually put work.
Yeah.
Especially
Good song.
musicians of that caliber. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, those guys just like phenomenal.
They're incredible.
Yeah.
Craig's got some songs that I'll like when I hear him do it, it always stuck in my head for the next week. You know, that song Justified.
Yep.
Ugh.
I listened to that this morning.
So good. Did you really?
Yeah, totally.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And You're Not Here. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
little
man.
reggae kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
They've got great music.
Yeah.
Those assholes.
Oh,
No, I
that's
love
definitely getting let in.
Good. I want them to know. I love all those guys.
You want to play another tune for us?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I should, since I'm here.
We did load your keyboard into my Honda
Oh
Civic.
my God. We did, yeah. On the way home from work, for the listeners out there, my car didn't seem normal. Some shaking and vibrations and some burning rubber smells. So Dave was nice enough to pick me up for this show.
It's like 6 blocks away. It was really far.
I'm really torn about what to play. Actually,
we have a request.
I could do that one. Yeah, I like that we have a request from the camera guy over here. I could play Burning Down the House for you. I have some other options that I want you to hear before we just choose
This
one.
is multiple
I
choice.
like this.
So
You're
okay.
welcome to play more than one, too, if you feel so compelled.
I wrote a song dealing with that concept of loss. I wrote a song about Michael Wooten because he reminds me all the time that he's going to die, and I hate it. It bothers me so much.
Oh.
He'll tell me, I mean, he tells everybody this. He's like, don't ever get old.
Yeah.
Don't get old. And, thinking about that concept, I had to write a song about it because it bothered me so much. So that's an option. There's another option, a song that I just finished a week or two ago. So I've been saving up a down payment to buy a house.
Oh.
And I feel like I've done pretty well, And I met with a lender about a month ago. She's like, you can't afford anything. I was like, fuck.
It's going to happen.
No.
And it bothered me so much that I could tell it was more than just like frustration of not being there yet. It was more of like, why am I so attached to this idea of a structure? Like, why do I care so much about that? And I really had to pick that apart. And I feel like I successfully did. I moved stuff around in myself and found my real motivation and intention. So that is almost maybe a follow-up to Burning Down the House. So
Man.
that one,
All of them?
I'll play the follow-up. So I haven't named this one yet, and I hope that I get it right. If I don't, you'll stop it and edit it out and let me start over, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
All right. I thought that if I bought a house, no one could ever make me leave my home again. So I saved all my money, and the lender told me it wasn't enough. And I'm trying not to read into that too much. But I can sense an underlying fear of feeling displaced year after so afraid to hold temporary circumstances, dear. I thought if I could say every bit of truth, I might find a new way of loving you. But 365 days of silence more than proves the truth is not the way you want to be spoken to. And I can sense an underlying fear, a feeling displaced year after year. And I could try feeling at home here, but I've been so afraid to hold temporary circumstances, dear.
Oh, that's a song.
Wow.
That's that one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
See, I broke open the capsule and it's too fresh, and now we all feel stuff.
Now that's
Look what happened.
I should have left in the
Look what
capsule
happened.
longer.
no. It's good.
That's right.
We all
Thank
need
you.
to feel stuff.
It's true.
Yeah,
we all need to
sometimes-
feel stuff.
Sometimes it's
Yeah.
like, as a host, like people get done playing these heartfelt songs, and then I have to be like, "Wow, that was really great."
So tell us about your next show.
Yeah, exactly right.
You should just like
When I just want to be like,
You
"Oh
should-
my god!"
you should just
Yeah.
instill like a moment of silence.
Right.
Make that an installment in the show. Be like,
Oh, yeah.
moment of silence.
The sound on silence.
The
The sound on
Sound
sound
on
off.
The sound
I
on
like
sound
that
off podcast.
idea.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Mm.
Yeah.
We're gonna make that a thing.
Sound on moment of silence.
Yeah.
And all of you listeners at home, if you don't stay silent and be in that sad moment with us,
We'll know.
we'll know.
Yeah, that's right. You'll be banned from listening.
That's right. That's
Oh,
right.
man.
Well, thanks for coming in and sharing some tunes with us.
Yeah.
This has been a blast.
This has been fun.
March 15th, a trio show at the Dickens with Grant Farm.
Mm-hmm,
March 23rd, debuting some new songs at Oscar Blues.
That's right.
And April 6th, Quattro Day Bank.
Oh, yeah. That is the show I'm very excited about.
I didn't write down where that was happening at.
That's at the Tasty Weasel. And this is the rare occasion that I'll be playing as Jessica Carson, because usually I just go as Clandestine Amigo, whether it's solo or 5-piece. But this is a group of musicians that Bonnie Sims recruited for this show. So it's myself, Bonnie, Megan Burt, Brianna Harris, and this chick that I think is the coolest person, Michelle from Banshee Tree. And I can't say her last name. I'm not even going to try
I can't either.
because she's got a crazy last name. Whenever I play with her, I'll make her say it for me, so I know how to pronounce it.
We expect you to report back.
But she's like a phenomenal drummer and plays with a band that you guys know how I feel about Banshee Tree. I love them so much, in like a creepy way. I hope they're listening, and I hope this makes them feel weird.
Is there anything else you'd like to leave us with?
Probably just to encourage people to keep music going, however that is, whether you support festivals or you go to local shows or you write the songs or, you help the drummer load out at the end of the night. I guess I just want to say thanks to the musical community. Like whatever part everybody plays, it makes it a thing that we all get to enjoy. And I think that thing is something that makes a difference in everybody's life. It certainly makes my life better. Every time I feel down and I have a rehearsal, I leave smiling. So music's a special thing. I hope we all keep contributing.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for doing what you do. This is a very cool show.
Yeah, and on a personal level, thank you, because you really connected me to a lot of the people that are in the music scene here when I first started hanging out around Longmont, you and Tim both. And
you connected me to all of those people.
Well, you guys are all great, and you deserve it. So I won't tell them any of your secrets that you have coming up, but clearly the universe wants you to do music.
That's right.
Tim.
I guess it does.
And we're going to leave everybody hanging on that note.
Yep.
You'll
Stay
never
tuned.
know.
Well, I hope they do know, because if they never know,
that's
that means
true.
nothing happened.
Yeah. Oh, they'll know.
They'll know.
They'll know somehow.
Okay. All right. Good.
Jessica,
Thanks.
thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.